Howdy everyone, welcome back to another video. Before we begin, I'd like to announce I've hit 10,000 subscribers. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, I had to rewrite this intro because I wasn't at 10k during its making. But wow, thank you guys so much. This is incredible, I already hit one of the big milestones. Now, on with the video. The winner of the latest poll was how to consistently win Last Man Standing. So today, I'm going to quickly cover how Last Man Standing works and show how each survivor can win more consistently. So without further ado, enjoy the video. Last Man Standing, as the name suggests, is an event that occurs in a match when there's only one survivor left. Last Man Standing lowers the timer or increases it to 1 minute and 10 seconds, as well as using some pretty cool music. In the first 5 seconds or so, both the survivor and killer's location are revealed to each other. There's a few things to keep in mind that may help you survive the full minute and 10 seconds. First and easiest to keep track of is the items on you. Bloxy colas and sometimes medkits are extremely valuable during Last Man Standing. The cola allows you to effectively deny chase, which costs a lot of time for the killer to catch up. Medkits are situational, and honestly only work well with 07, but I'll talk about that more later. Second thing to try and do is position yourself well. You want to be stuck in an area you're comfortable with and won't result in your immediate death. Things like the castle in Brandon Works, the hill on Glass Houses, or the cave in Ultimate Assassin's Ground will really help you gain some distance for as long as you need. I personally wouldn't just camp in one spot the whole game though. Play normally. Do generators and stuff, be useful for your team, and if you just so happen to be the second last survivor alive with someone else, you can either help them or get in the comfortable position to secure your win. Your call. Third, I'd say it's important to always keep the stamina lead. You don't want the killer to ever catch up to you. With this rule, you should note that the killer doesn't drain stamina from a far distance, about 110 studs I believe, so try keeping a medium distance from the killer at most. Lastly, of course, you have to utilize your abilities. Last Man Standing always varies depending on the killer and the map you're on, but what's more important is the killer, so let me mention this quickly. Each killer has their own amount of counterplay that allows you to survive Last Man Standing for free if you play correctly. Except for like 1x4. After his recent buffs, 1x4's Last Man Standing is the most intense hell to go through to even have a chance of winning. If he saves his minions for the end of the game, it's a 1v8, and if he decides to kill any minions, he gets a major speed boost that allows him to instantly catch up from practically any distance. So, good 1x4s won't make it easy for you to escape. The only other killer that can drastically influence Last Man Standing is John Doe. Only if his traps are pre-placed in good spots already though. Jason and Cool Kid don't have any large influence in Last Man Standing, but if you slip up, they can easily secure a kill on you. So now, I'll talk about the game plan for each survivor in order. Starting with survivalists, meaning Noob. For the sake of not getting the item mixed up with his ability, I'm going to call his ability a mini cola. Anyways, Noob is by far the best survivor in Last Man Standing. His abilities basically revolve around you not spending them until the end of the game for a guaranteed win. His game plan is simple, and practically unbeatable. First, you want to use your Ghost Burger just as the killer is going to kill the last survivor. With good timing, your aura should be hidden from the killer, and he shouldn't have a damn clue where you are. After he manages to find you, whether or not it was instantly or delayed doesn't really matter, you want to pop your mini cola as they get close. However, if you have a Bloxy cola, use it first before the killer closes the distance on you. Use this time to get to the other side of the map, and again, wait for the killer to catch up a bit, then pop your mini cola, and do the same thing. Fun fact, the cooldown on mini cola is 12 seconds, which accounts for the windup of the ability as well as the duration of the speed, meaning you can pop another one instantly after the first one ends. With proper stamina management and good timing, you can practically pop 3 colas at the beginning of a chase and stall for 30 seconds for free. At this point, you just want to loop the killer for as long as possible, and if you make any mistakes or they just manage to catch up quickly, you can use your slate skin to stall the last seconds of the game. Also, I think I should mention this, but keep in mind that Bloxy Cola has a 5-second windup, and Mini Cola only has like a 2 or 3-second one. I think 3 seconds. Noob is by far the easiest to win the Last Man Standing with, and is so detrimental if he's left last alive. But not every survivor has the kind of privilege he does. Let's move on to 07, the second best Last Man Standing survivor, but still so much weaker. The difference between 07 and Noob is that 07 can use his cool GUI to prevent chase the entire match and almost guarantee he gets to be Last Man Standing every time. Not to forget, his clone is the only counter to John Doe traps in Last Man Standing, since you can send your clones in the traps and fully prevent the slowness effect if necessary. His game plan starts with his clone. You want to basically just pop your clone the moment your teammate is killed, since it instantly hides your aura temporarily. Once they start getting near you, however, you want to try timing your cool GUI so they can't interrupt you in time. After you successfully pop your cool GUI, or just didn't use it since you can in the first place, you want to pop a Bloxy Cola. Keep in mind this is kind of just how it goes for all survivors. You want to try using the Bloxy Cola as soon as possible if you have one, since you don't really have the opportunity to use it outside of some stuns or lucky breaks. But anyway, you can use the Cola to get enough distance to hopefully have your clone back off cooldown. There's really only a selective amount of things you can do with your clone in Last Man Standing. I've already covered triggering John's traps. You can also use his clones to make the 1x4 or Cool Kid minions ignore you in case you put yourself in a bad situation. Another one is using it when you hear killers using their aura reading moves. Each one has a very apparent sound effect and animation that gives you more than enough time to react to them and quickly dismiss them. And of course, there's the last thing a clone can do, which is trick the killer. Most killers nowadays are smart enough to recognize a clone, but on the off chance they fall for one, you're practically one for free. This gives you enough time to teleport across the map, heal with a medkit, all kinds of shenanigans. If you really want to risk it all on tricking the killer, then I'd recommend trying to use your clone just as you get hit or around a corner. Well anyways, I think that mostly covers 07. He really is a mouthful of information that will almost never be useful since he's so incredibly predictable. Up next we got 2Time, the current worst survivor in the game unfortunately, but plan to get a rework coming soon. 2Time is very unique, as he has no abilities and only one passive. His passive makes it so upon dying, he's granted a second life, which gives him a speed boost, some stamina back, and makes him weak. So if he's hit just as he gets his second life, he instantly dies. However, if he survives until Last Man Standing before his second life, it instantly pops, healing him 50 health and increasing his health to 110. 2Time is definitely a survivalist, but what he does best is the polar opposite of Noob in 07. He survives best in the beginning and middle of a game, since if the killer goes after him, his second life doesn't add anything to the timer until he's fully killed. So usually how I play 2Time is actually on top of the killer during the whole match, even near Last Man Standing. His speed boost is basically a free Bloxy Cola. So what I do is I stick near the killer so I can keep their stamina in check while also getting enough distance from the speed boost to create just enough distance. This is especially good if you don't have a Bloxy Cola, but if you do, it's debatably better to stick in a comfortable spot anyways and pop it once they get close since you're just wasting their time to catch up to you. After that, it's really just raw skill and stamina management with some extra health to win the game. And you might be wondering, well what do I do if they injure me or knock me to my second life before Last Man Standing? The answer is, die. You kinda just can't win Last Man Standing in that scenario, which is fine because they had to waste time on you in the first place to get you to your second life, so if you lose at that point, it's your team's fault. Now we move on to supports, starting with Elliot. Elliot feels like one of those supports that should have no opportunity to win since they only have 80 health. And, you know, he's a support. But he's kinda like a survivalist hybrid because of his rush hour. You know the drill at this point. At the beginning of the Last Man Standing, you want to use your Bloxy Cola for distance. If you don't have your Cola though, it's mostly just raw stamina management to carry you through Last Man Standing, but it's very possible. So there's a few ways to go about using a rush hour. You can either use it immediately to gain some extra distance in a chase, use it just as the killer's about to catch up for slightly more distance, or lastly, you can use it just as you get hit to stack the speed boosts. I think that's debatably the best, but I really don't know how much it influences the speed, and getting hit in the first place would mean you let them catch up, which is really bad. So, with Elliot, you normally shouldn't win unless the map is super favored for Survivor, and the map is awful for the killer, especially if you have a Cola and just have unlimited distance. Moving on, we have Dusekkar. There's literally nothing you can do as Dusekkar. I guess you can beam the killer at the very beginning if you're far enough away and have a good line of sight. If you miss though, you're gonna be in a world of pain. If you have a Cola, you just use it for the extra distance and pray. The only extremely specific scenario where you may have a chance to actually use your ability is against extremely specific abilities. If a cool kid misses his walk speed override, you can punish it with your beam. If a John Doe uses his digital footprint or Era 404, you can sometimes punish it with your beam. If a 1x4 uses unstable eye or rejuvenate the rotten, you can again sometimes punish it. For 1x4 it's a little bit more situational since, more often than not, they can punish your beam with an entanglement. Oh yeah, and Jason. For once you actually can't really do anything against him. During his raging pace, he's immune to the beam, so you'll probably just explode for even trying. BUILDERMAAN! He's so simple, yet so effective. You set up a cozy little resting spot with your turret, and if you have a Bloxy Cola, you drink it as the killer gets close, so as they're destroying the turret, you get across the map for even more free. If you don't have a Cola, doesn't matter, same thing, you just run across the map. Of course, it's a little unlikely you win with BUILDERMAAN since after your turret is destroyed, you have absolutely nothing, but hey, you get a free 20 to 30 seconds for almost free if you play well with BUILDERMAAN. Supports don't really have much they can do in Last Man Standing, so I'll cover a bit more with the Sentinels. Starting with Shedletsky, the bread and butter of Sentinels. Surprisingly, Shedletsky is super viable in Last Man Standing, probably the third best survivor for it realistically. Of course, you start the chase with the blocks of cola, yada yada. After they start closing the distance, there's a few ways to play. You can be an absolute psychopath and instantly try to stun them, which is by far the best for distance since you get your cooldown quicker. However, the most effective way to use your stun is around corners. Masking your location and stun makes it impossible for the killer to react if you time it right. After the nerfs, you no longer really get a guaranteed heal with the stun, but you kind of still do if there's no other sentinels. It's situational, but it's very valuable if you're low health and landed your stun, so I think it's worth mentioning. But you would lose a ton of distance from it, so pick your poison. Honestly, it's so easy to win Last Man Standing with Shedletsky. Sometimes you don't even have to use your stun. Just the threat of its existence scares killers into running away from you. Kind of ironic. Guest. I pray you guys will vote for the guide in the next poll. There's so much I want to show about Guest and why he's so strong, but I'll explain some of it now, I suppose. Last Man Standing is not an exact area he thrives though, but with his extra health and moves that make him invincible, it's not impossible. With Guest, he's very standard. You drink the Bloxy for distance. If you don't have one, you just play around looping. To put it simple, you should parry every killer except for John Doe. Using the block speed will get you more distance overall, and then you can use your punch later to mask the animation behind a wall. I'll talk about this more in a Guest video, so for now, let's move on to Chance. Chance overall is an amazing survivor, but he somewhat struggles in chase. More often than not, you should have a lot of health and enough stacks to fire your gun. You play Chance in Last Man Standing somewhat like Guest. Pop the cola, then loop. You kinda just want to survive off of your extra health and never really use your stun mid-chase. The only times you want to use your gun is when you're getting guaranteed stuns. The best way to use it is after a killer whips their ability or is in the middle of using it. And against Jason, you shouldn't use your gun until after he uses Raging Pace, because that anti-stun will get you killed. Last thing to cover with Chance. Only start flipping coins mid-chase if you're low health. You don't want bad luck to kill you after severely outplaying the killer, unless you want to gamble and lose. Hell, I don't care. If it works, it works. If you flip while you're low health, it doesn't really matter. The weakness won't make a difference for your imminent death, and if you get one stack, you might be lucky enough to live. Last, and almost least, Taph. With Taph, you really have to get lucky in Last Man Standing. You need your wires preemptively set up, otherwise they'll be able to see you placing them and make it so much more obvious. What you're really doing with him is just playing around what you've already placed and pray the killer doesn't see any of them. Otherwise, you're a survivor with no abilities, 90 health, which is basically the equivalent of Dusekkar. Subspace Trip Mine is the savior of Taph in Last Man Standing though. If the killer is an absolute cripple and can't move his camera more than 2 inches in a circle, then you can actually blind them with the bomb, hide, throw it back down, and repeat. I went to Last Man Standing like this once before, and it was against a 1x4, so I don't know, it really shouldn't have worked, but it did. So, that covers about everything you need to know about every survivor in Last Man Standing. If you guys have anything to add in the comments, please feel free to let everyone know. We love some good tips and tricks around here. Thank you so much for watching. Reminder, I have a poll after almost every video to vote for the next video I make in my community tab. You can also join my Discord in the description, or type discord.gg/howdy to participate in upcoming videos. Stay tuned, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.